Hi, thanks for joining us at the Behavioural Software Club. I'm Andy Brown, and today we're going to look deeper into the human factors that cause project estimates to go wrong. Again, we're going to look at only one bias. This time it's the overconfidence effect. Now, the name's fairly self-explanatory, but we'll define it anyway. The overconfidence effect is an excessive confidence in our own judgment and ability, not warranted by objective accuracy. Now, there are three facets to overconfidence. Firstly, there's overestimation, which is an excessive confidence in our actual abilities. Secondly, there's overplacement, which is an exaggerated belief that we are better than others on a given dimension. Finally, there's overprecision, which is an excessive belief that we know the truth. It's the first of these, overestimation, which contributes towards the project underestimation problem. Later, we'll see that overprecision drives those unrealistically narrow confidence intervals of our estimates. Okay, so what's the mechanism that leads overconfidence into project underestimation? Right, when we're asked to estimate a task or project, we focus on the certainty we feel in our own ability and performance. We recall specific instances when we performed well, but we ignore or fail to recall when our performance was mediocre. We also overestimate our level of control, particularly over resources not under our direction. So, for example, we believe we can persuade the database team to deliver our change on time. But they've got their own priorities and are immune to persuasion by us. Besides, they hate us. This belief of control is related to another bias, the illusion of control. At its most extreme, overconfidence can drive a bias known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is where an individual is so unskilled in an area that they lack the self-awareness necessary to recognize their own incompetence. One example is the bank robber who didn't wear a mask, but instead covered his face with invisible ink, mistakenly believing that this would render him invisible to the security cameras. Some people just aren't suited for a life of crime. When we're asked to produce an estimate, overconfidence leads us to recall how brilliantly we did on Project A, but we forget our Project B disaster. And so we confidently give a low estimate based on our Project A memory. It's very easy to look upon a cognitive bias as a bad thing. But remember, biases only exist in us today because they once provided our ancestors with an evolutionary fitness benefit. So what possible benefits could our ancestors have gained from being overconfident? Well, it's not easy to spot at first, although we can see the opposite. An unwarranted belief in our own abilities could have landed our ancestors in fights they would lose, exposed them to unnecessary predator risk, or encouraged them to pursue a risky endeavour, like crossing a fast-flowing river balanced on a log. These events had potentially fatal consequences and risked removing our genes from the gene pool. So, what benefits could overconfidence have given? The most likely answer comes from competition for scarce resources, such as food, territory, or a mate. If you've ever watched a wildlife film, it's not long before the cameraman is filming two individuals from the same species, usually males, fighting over a territory. Now, there's a problem with fighting. It's dangerous. You could get injured or killed. So, many species have developed ways of settling disputes without resorting to potentially costly fighting. In that same wildlife film, before the two animals started fighting, you probably saw them pacing up and down in front of each other, typically in a display of strength and fighting prowess, trying to get the other party to back down. Now, you don't need to know much about game theory to work out that if you're going to lose a fight, you're better off forfeiting it rather than entering a fight and being injured or killed. However, you don't want to forfeit a fight you could have won. Therefore, in those displays of strength and fighting prowess, there's a lot of bluffing going on. Each party tries to convince their opponent they'll lose and are better off forfeiting the fight. Overconfidence in our own abilities and chances of winning helped us in that bluffing. Now, the benefits of overconfidence are so widespread that an overconfident population is the stable situation for humans. So, in the 21st century, software projects are underestimated because the ancestors of that project team were fighting over a pile of rocks and bluffing about it. So, how can we mitigate against the overconfidence effect? Well, one technique that's effective is the counterfactual approach. Just before you ask people to estimate their confidence level that an event will occur, or a deadline will be successful, get them to list counter-arguments immediately prior to providing their level of confidence. If you're asking people to provide a delivery estimate, then immediately prior to providing that estimate, get them to list potential impediments to that delivery. If, however, you're trying to build up your team members' long-term resilience to overconfidence rather than reduce overconfidence in a specific estimate, then try the following. Get people to make predictions plus their confidence level in those predictions. Then get them to monitor their own track record. If you're serious about reducing overconfidence, read Super Forecasting by Philip Tetlock. Alternately, if you enjoy a gamble and are ready to put your money where your mouth is, then Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke is also a good read. There are other activities such as the horse race handicapper game, which I'll cover in more detail in a later session. If you've enjoyed this session, please give us a thumbs up on the link below. And if you're interested in this topic, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.